The Peter Schiff Show.
Joining our program now is Governor Ed Rendell. Mr. Rendell was governor of the state of Pennsylvania from 2003 to 2011, but today he is an official spokesman for FixTheDebt.org, which is an organization dedicated to helping to solve our nation's very deep fiscal problems. Governor, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Peter, and thanks for saying that we have deep fiscal problems, because one of the challenges we face is as revenue increases, as the economy creeps back up, and as healthcare costs, or at least healthcare inflation, starts to moderate, there are people who think that the debt's not important anymore and we don't have to worry about it.
It's absolutely important, and I would applaud your efforts to try to rein it in. Let me start by asking you, to fix the debt, what government agencies or departments do you want to get rid of, and how much are you going to cut Medicare and Social Security so that we can get a handle on all this spending that is the source of the problem?
Well, you're right. We have to cut domestic spending. We also, in my judgment, have to cut military spending, but in a common sense, realistic way, not the way the Sequester does it. But the big mother load is in the entitlement programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And we have to reduce the spending in those programs. We can do it by being smarter, by being more effective, but we also are going to have to do things like change CPI, which both the president and the leadership in the Senate has talked about. Change CPI slows down the rate of inflation, but it doesn't cut those programs. But by slowing down the rate of inflation, it helps fix our long-term debt problem very significantly.
Yeah, It does make an adjustment. I think since inflation is actually much higher than what the government officially acknowledges, and I believe that inflation is going to accelerate dramatically over time, certainly if we do not increase Social Security payments to keep up with what I think could be runaway inflation, we're going to make significant cuts in these programs. But I think it might need to be deeper than that.
Oh, no, that's
what about?
You're absolutely right. We have to raise age limits on these programs. When they were passed into law, our life expectancy was in the middle 60s. Now it's in the low 80s. Obviously, we've got to have to raise some of the age limits. We can do carve-outs.
What about means testing? Why should I get Social Security? I got plenty of money. I mean, I'm pissed off that I'm paying all these Social Security taxes.
The argument, Peter, is that we paid in, but I agree with you. There's no reason that people who make a lot of money and continue to make money when they're older than the limit get Social Security. Now, people could say, well, you've earned it. Well, you could have a system where if their income ever falls below a certain level, they would get their Social Security retroactively, but that's not going to happen for most.
But why just income? What if I've got $20 million worth of property or a stock portfolio, and I'm not getting a lot of dividends? I own just growth stocks. Why should it just be about my income? If I'm rich, if I've got a lot of assets, why should young poor people be taxed to subsidize rich people with lots of assets?
Well, because I think it's only fair to be able to tax people on their liquid assets. But if you have stock and you have property, often you get dividends from that, and that goes towards your income. But in any event, what you're talking about on Social Security is raising the cap. Right now, rich people only pay their payroll deduction taxes up to the first $110,000 of income. So if you're earning $3 million of income, you don't pay Social Security taxes on $2.9 million of that.
Well, you're not proposing that we get rid of that cap and tax the entire income, subject the entire income to Social Security.
No, but you could raise the cap. You could raise the cap. We have raised the cap periodically, and you could raise it again. That change CPI, means testing would take care of a lot of.
Because they already did that. They already did that with Medicare. There used to be a cap on Medicare, and now I pay the Medicare tax on the entirety of my income. So I pay much more every year in Medicare taxes than I do in Social Security taxes. But taking away the cap didn't solve the Medicare problem. The Medicare problem is bigger than ever. So just finding ways to generate revenue doesn't do it. We have to cut the spending.
No, you have to do both. And if you look at the reports that the experts have, if you did change CPI, raise the age limit, and uncap the payroll deduction taxes, Social Security would be secure for the next century.
How can it possibly be secure for another century when we